Right around the time the Olympic Games would descend upon Atlanta in 1996, something else was taking shape. It was a daring idea that cemented a new era in professional sports and redefined female athletes. The bounce of the ball as sneakers pound polyurethane-coated hardwood floors, the drive to the basket, and ultimately the swish of the nets. These all-too-familiar images took a sudden change during the 1996 Olympic Games in Atlanta. That's when the United States basketball women's national team would capture gold in more ways than one. It led to the formation of the Women's National Basketball Association, which embarked on its first season in 1997. But the question remained, would sports fans embrace female basketball players the same way they did their male counterparts? The answer, much like the game of basketball itself, came through hard work, persistence, and a team of dedicated individuals. 20 years later, and the WNBA has become the premier women's professional sports league in America. Leading the league into its next phase is newly elected president Lisa Borders, and she brings with her a manifold of executive leadership experience, as you'll see in today's Executive Profiles.
I don't know if many people know much about your grandfather, and I thought maybe you could tell us a little bit about growing up at Wheat Street Baptist Church on Auburn Avenue and what life was like for you as a child in Atlanta and how that helped build on your career to where you are today.
My grandfather, William Holmes Borders Sr., the Reverend Dr. William Holmes Borders Sr., was the pastor at Wheat Street Baptist Church for over 50 years. He taught me that to whom much is given, much is required. And I don't know that I really understood that lesson as a young child, but I certainly understand it today, and it serves as a personal mantra. He had vision. He understood what his community needed, and he wanted to support, help, enlarge, embrace, empower the community. When he saw an opportunity to deliver clean, safe, affordable housing because people lived in squalor in some parts of town, very much close to the church. So he decided that he would build housing.
Who was the developer he worked with on that housing development?
He actually worked with Tom Cousins, who I subsequently worked for 2 generations later, and I didn't understand that. When I went to Cousins, I understood that Mr. Cousins was a developer. He happened to be the father of one of my high school classmates. Fast forward 20, 30 years, and I'm applying to work at Cousins Properties, and there he tells me this story: I helped your grandfather build Wheat Street Gardens, which was the affordable housing in the 1950s. I was absolutely dumbstruck at how that happened.
So you've had such a great history between the church, you attended the Westminster schools, you helped integrate the Westminster schools, went on to Duke University, you come back to Atlanta. Your early part of your career, you're in the healthcare field, correct?
Yeah. When I went to Duke, I was trying to follow in my father's footsteps, who was a physician. So I thought, I'll go to medical school, I'll be a doctor,
There you go.
I'll be an entrepreneur. Well, I got to Duke and thought, oh my goodness, I like medicine, I'm not sure I love it. So what I decided, rather than be a clinician, let me learn the business of medicine so that I can still be in the field, I can still participate, but in a way where I can bring the greatest value.
Eventually, you even got to work with the Grady Health Foundation.
I did.
Help raise funds to help turn Grady into what it is today. That must have been a pretty proud achievement, given where Grady's gone from to where it is today.
I was absolutely honored to have the privilege to work at Grady and raise money. We all know it's the premier level 1 trauma center for the city of Atlanta and the metro region, producing 25% of the state's doctors. It's an economic engine for the state and for the southeastern part of the United States. In 2008, when Grady was really struggling, it was an opportunity for me to serve. By this point, I had a master's degree in health administration, so I understood the business of healthcare, but I was actually asked to help others understand the business of healthcare, and more specifically what Grady was doing to help not just folks who couldn't afford healthcare, but all of us from an economic standpoint and a clinical standpoint.
There was a point in time when you said, okay, it's now time for me to go into the political arena. I mean, politics is dirty, it can be ugly, but there was, obviously that was a calling for you as well, or you wouldn't have gotten into it.
So interestingly enough, Maynard Jackson, who was our first African-American mayor in the city of Atlanta, launched his political career in my grandfather's pulpit. When I saw Maynard Jackson do that, I was 12 years old, and it left an indelible imprint on my heart. And I thought, I'm going to do that someday. I wasn't thinking about politics, I was thinking about serving others. Enter 2004, there's a special election, an opportunity for me to run for vice mayor and president of city council. As I saw it, David, there was a direct match between my skill set and the job at hand. And so I ran for that office, and I was blessed to serve the citizens for 7 years here in our city.
The citizens clearly agreed. They elected you. You've had the opportunity to represent the Coke brand for the last few years. What has that been like for you?
This 3 years has been incredible. So we talked about my paternal grandfather.
Right.
My maternal grandfather worked at Coca-Cola from 1929 to 1959.
Whoa.
30 years as a chauffeur.
Wow.
His wife, my grandmother, worked 15 years as a maid. So 45 years of service to the Coca-Cola company.
Wow.
And our family moved from the chauffeur seat to the executive suite in 2 generations.
You've now been given this amazing opportunity
Yes.
to lead a league of some of the finest women basketball players in the world.
Yes.
Are you intimidated by this? This is, talk about a new horizon for you.
I'm not intimidated. I'm excited about
Good.
this. I am absolutely thrilled about this. Let me back up and give you a little bit of context.
Sure.
While in public service, I had the opportunity to speak with one of my predecessors, Donna Orender, who was commissioner at the time of the WNBA.
Mm-hmm.
She came to Atlanta asking us if we'd be interested in having a team. Mayor Franklin couldn't take that meeting, and she asked me to go take it on
wow.
her behalf. I go to the meeting, hear the pitch, and I said, I think we'd be interested. We'd really like to have a team.
Right.
I go back to City Hall, and Mayor Franklin says, you signed up for what? I told you to take the meeting. I didn't tell you to sign up for a team. Mm-hmm. That's where my interest was born for this particular situation. Adam is a terrific friend and colleague. We both are Duke undergraduates. We now have the privilege of serving on the board of trustees together.
Right.
We had a conversation over dinner, and bam, here we are today with a new opportunity for me, for him, and the league.
How are you looking to approach your first 100 days as president?
As president,
There we
there's
go.
a lot of work that's already been done. My predecessors, we are tipping off the 20th season. I will spend a lot of time building my team in New York, where we are based, listening to the owners and the players at all 12 locations. We have 12 teams today, 144 of the finest athletes anywhere in the world. And so we have the opportunity now to grow this and mature this and strengthen it even more so than it is today.
Lisa Borders says priority number 1, getting more people aware of the WNBA. Aside from live games, viewers have the opportunity to get involved via ESPN or on their mobile devices using the WNBA League Pass. Borders also thinks players' lives off the court are a key marketing tool. Ahead, the season may so far be bleak for the Atlanta Braves, but that's not to say all that does not glitter isn't gold. Patrick Crosby pulls some stats on the team's valuation. Keep it locked here. Atlanta Business Chronicles Biz will return.